Fans thought Danny Koker was done when counting cars stopped. He had lost 35 pounds because of worry, was being sued for $2.7 million, and his marriage was breaking up. But in 2024, the count shocked everyone. His old show made $15 million a year, but in just a few months, his new business made twice that much. The real surprise, though, had nothing to do with cars. Today, we're going to talk about the undertold story of how Danny Koker rebuilt his business and why some fans say they can't recognize him. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio, on January 5th, 1964. His family loved cars a lot. Dan Koker Sr., his father, was an official at Ford. From the beginning, Danny loved cars and motorbikes. Uncles, cousins, and family friends all worked in the car business, as did everyone in his family. But there was something else unique about his family. His dad liked more than just cars. He was also very good at singing. He sang and played the keyboard for the Cathedral Quartet, a well-known Southern gospel group. Danny was changed in ways that no one could have imagined by this mix of cars and music. His singing skills were already being shown off on stage at Carnegie Hall when he was only 11 years old. Dan's dad gave him a motorbike when he was 8 years old. It was more than just a gift. It was the beginning of something big. Daniel didn't just ride it. He took it apart piece by piece. After that, he put it back together. He found out how much he loved finding things out at that point. After that, he spent all of his time fixing bikes and cars and making them better by taking them apart. He was already helping his dad with car jobs when he was a teenager. He learned everything by doing it himself. He learned a lot from the Ford manuals and bits that his dad brought home. He wasn't trained in any fancy ways. I just wanted to learn more and practice a lot. He was already making engines run faster and cars cooler when he was 16. His first car, a 1979 Camaro Z28, was one of his first big projects. Daniel didn't do what most kids would have done and left it alone. He made a race car that could be driven on the street. He was able to figure it out, even though it was very hard. By age 18, he showed everyone that even though he hadn't gone to school for it, he could handle hard jobs. This was only the start of his amazing trip. When Danny turned 30, he tried something very different. He became a TV host. On Saturday Fright at the Movies, a late-night horror movie show, he played Count Coolrider. People in Las Vegas watched him introduce cheesy, scary films every Saturday. He wore a cape and sunglasses to look like a vampire and added his own funny to the show. Like Danny, his character liked Elvis, motorbikes, and old cars. He even told jokes with a funny accent that came from the fact that his grandparents were from Yugoslavia. It wasn't just films on the show. Dan added his love of music and cars to make it more fun. A lot of people loved it, and his name, the Count, stuck even after the 2001 end of the show. That was not all Danny did. Because he loved cars so much, he opened a small shop in Las Vegas in 1998 called Kounts Kustoms. The name came from his TV character, and the shop's main business was making motorbikes look different. Daniel had his own style. He did more than fix cars and bikes. He made something wonderful out of them. A 1932 Ford Roadster was one of his first big projects. People knew Kounts' traditions were unique when they saw them. Quickly, word got out, and more people started coming to the shop. Daniel moved to a bigger place in 2002, so he could handle all the work. He moved on from bikes to old cars, and even started making parts just for his customers. Dan got a call from Ozzy Osbourne in 2004 that changed everything. Danny made Ozzy a unique motorbike that he wanted. The bike was amazing, with bat-themed features and paint that seemed to glow. It made Kounts' traditions popular across the country. The shop got even bigger over time. It was more than just a shop by 2010. Dan made it into a brand. He opened Kounts Vamped, a tattoo shop and rock bar, and even started selling things. Danny's hobby had grown into something bigger than he ever thought possible when Kounts Kustoms turned into a 30,000 square foot shop with more than 50 workers. Danny Koker's rise to fame began in a strange way on July 19, 2009. The first time he was on Pawn Stars, it was to evaluate a 1968 Mustang GT Fastback. He was already well known in the area because he owned Kounts Kustoms, a shop in Las Vegas that sold cars and motorcycles. The pawn shop owner, Rick Harrison, needed someone who knew a lot about old cars. People loved Danny right away because of how charming and smart he was. With 23 shows over 3 years, he became a fan favorite on Pawn Stars. The Count because he used to host a TV show about scary films. But after his second show, things almost went badly. He and Rick had a fight about how much a 1957 Chevy Bel Air was worth. Production staff had to step in and calm things down after Danny left the set. After that, Rick called Danny and told him he could have more power over his show roles. People loved how they talked to each other on screen. In June 2011, the idea for Counting Cars came to me. A producer from Left Field Pictures named Brent Montgomery was at Kustoms to shoot for Pawn Stars. Danny was in talks to buy a rare 1970 Plymouth Superbird, which he saw. Danny made an instant offer of $75,000, which showed how much he loved cars. Montgomery thought this would be a great TV show. The first episode of Counting Cars aired on the History Channel on August 13th, 2012. Watch as Danny and his team bought, fixed up, and sold old cars and bikes on the show. The show was unique because it showed every step of the process, from Danny finding a car to seeing it repaired and ready to be shown off. The first episode was a full circle moment because it showed the restoration of a 1968 Mustang Fastback, the same type of car he evaluated on Pawn Stars. 3.1 million people watched, which is a lot more than the History Channel usually gets. Because of how well it did, more episodes were ordered and shooting began just 2 weeks later. Everywhere, dude. I'm moving rocks around. I am digging in other people's yards, getting a peek through garage doors, never stopping. It became one of the most watched History Channel shows very quickly. Through the first season, an average of 2.9 million people watched each show. It sometimes did even better than Pawn Stars, which was its parent show. This movie had been shown in 150 countries by 2014. You may recognize Rick Harrison from the reality TV show Pawn Stars. We were able to meet Rick Diri and ask him what he thought about the roar, and made into 38 different languages. Each episode was seen by 1.5 million people in Germany, making it the most watched American reality show there. Some unexpected things happened because of how well the show did. Las Vegas cops said that 37% more classic cars were stolen in 2015 than the previous year. They thought that thieves were motivated by the show to target the cars that were shown. Danny had to tell people who own cars to be extra careful. Danny's unique style also helped the show become well-known. He had long hair, a beard, and was dressed all in black with skulls on it. He didn't just dress for TV. It showed how much he liked rock music, and his band has 77 members. Fans loved how he mixed his rock star personality with his understanding of cars. A poll done in 2016 found that most people watched the show because they liked Danny's style. Dan also had some funny habits. He thought that a leather jacket he had had since 1989 would help him get good deals on cars. He didn't wash it. It even had a pocket with over $10,000 in cash for quick shopping. On November 5th, 2013, Danny had a moment that showed how kind he was. He fixed up an old Corvette from 1981 that belonged to a Vietnam veteran who had died. He was so moved by the act that he cried when he gave the car to the veteran's widow. 4.3 million people watched this episode, making it the most watched in the show's history. Danny Koker has become successful through hard work, creativity, and a strong desire to do well. His business, Kounts Kustoms, grew quickly after his show Counting Cars became a hit. The store grew from a small 7,000 square foot area to a huge 40,000 square foot building by 2018. Dan was able to take on bigger and more exciting projects because he had grown. Before the show, his team of more than 50 skilled workers only did a few special builds a year. By 2020, they were doing 75 a year. People paid a lot of money and were ready to wait up to 18 months for his one-of-a-kind designs. In 2019, the shop was making over $15 million a year, a huge increase from its first year's money of $500,000. Danny also started selling clothes and accessories with the Kounts Kustoms name on them. This made the business $3 million more every year by 2021. That was not all Danny did. In 2017, he began selling rare car parts for restoring old cars. By 2022, this was bringing in 20% of the shop's income. He even began running classes and teaching new people how to fix up cars, which makes his shop the best in the business. Danny was so good at what he did that famous people wanted him to touch up their cars in a special way. Ozzy Osbourne hired him in 2016 to make a unique chopper. It cost more than $150,000 and took 6 months to finish. The bike had a strong 124 cubic inch engine and bat wings that were painted by hand, making a beauty out of it. LeBron James, a famous NBA player, asked Danny to fix up a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air in 2018. The interior was purple and gold to honor the Lakers, and the job took 8 months. It also had a top-of-the-line sound system. News stories about the car, which was worth more than $500,000, said a lot about it. Daniel did a big job for the Las Vegas Mob Museum in 2020. He fixed up 5 old Cadillacs that had bulletproof glass and secret compartments, just like the ones that mobsters used in the 1960s and 1970s. The $2.5 million project got a lot of attention and was even turned into a 2-hour TV show. Danny has worked with a lot of important people. In 2022, he finished one of his hardest jobs, restoring John Lennon's psychedelic 1965 Rolls-Royce Phantom 5 for $1 million. It took 2 years of searching to get rare parts from 3 different countries. Dan opened Kounts' Vamped Rock Bar and Grill in Las Vegas in 2012. People who like music and cars started going to the pub all the time. There were old motorbikes hanging from the ceiling and rare rock memorabilia on the walls to decorate it. The bar had live music every night for its first year, which made it stand out in Las Vegas's busy nighttime scene. In 2015, Danny made the area bigger by adding a large patio with a stage and a moving display of his collection of classic cars. This made it possible for the bar to hold events like Rocktoberfest, which every year brings in over 10,000 people. Danny worked with a brewery in 2018 to make Kounts Custom Brew, a line of craft beers that are sold in Nevada bars and shops. The bar made more than $8 million a year by 2022, had more than 500 shows a year, and had 75 employees. Due to his love of music, Danny also formed a band in 2013 called Kounts 77. Plus, some great band from Las Vegas joined him as the lead singer. Their first record, which came out in 2014, was hard rock in the style of the 1970s. On the Billboard Hard Rock chart, Kounts 77 got to number 26. Their song was played on the radio a lot. The band's first national tour took place in 2016, with 50 shows across the U.S. They made over $2 million on the trip. When's Soul Transfusion, their second record, came out in 2017, it did even better. It got to number 15 on the Billboard Hard Rock chart. Their big hit, Summer of '77, got to number 22 on the Big Rock charts. It was 2018, and the band played at big events like Rocklahoma, where 40,000 people watched. The band had put out 4 albums, sold more than 500,000 copies, and even started the Kounts Rock Cruise, a yearly event where fans could see them and other classic rock bands play on a fancy ship. People wanted to go on the trip so badly that it sold out months ahead of time. Danny Koker's life behind the scenes of Counting Cars was nothing like what you see on TV. The show became famous very quickly after it began on August 13th, 2012. But Danny's life was a lot harder. He worked up to 18 hours a day and wouldn't take a day off for weeks at a time. The stress began to show in 2015. In just 3 months, he lost 35 pounds, which made people around him worry. It was hard for Kount to run both the show and his business, Kounts Kustoms. Danny said in an interview in 2018 that he had to turn down about 37 special jobs every month because he had to film them. It cost his business almost $4.8 million a year, which added to the stress. There were more fights to come. Danny and the producers had a lot of disagreements, mostly about the stage drama on the show. Things got bad on March 3rd, 2019, when editors told him to make up a problem with a client. Danny got angry and left the set, which stopped work for 3 days and cost the company $180,000. At the same time, Danny's personal life was changed by the show. Because he had to shoot, he missed 8 important family events, including the wedding of his nephew. He talked about how lonely it made him in a podcast in 2020. Danny still cared about his shop, though. He spent $2.3 million in 2021 to make Kounts traditions better, even though it made his life more stressful. Custom cars are going to be hot this summer. This week, I caught up with a Kount, who is back for a new season of Counting Cars. He also had legal problems after that. A couple sued Kounts Kustoms for $50,000 in 2014, saying they paid $11,000 for a 1967 Ford Mustang and $39,000 for work to fix it up, but never got the car. Even worse, their lawyer told them that a worker had told them their car would be on the show and even offered $20,000 worth of free upgrades. Over 27 news sources ran stories about this, which made the media go crazy. Kounts Kustoms charged a former worker, Joseph Frontiera, of stealing $75,000 in 2017. This made things worse. He is said to have bought a Range Rover and plane tickets with business money, which led to the shop having to pay an $18,000 IRS fine. In 2021, 17 former customers sued the shop for $2.7 million, saying it overcharged them by up to 300%. This was the worst blow. Danny's image was hurt, and he had to pay a lot of money in legal fees. It ended up costing him over $1.2 million. He even thought about selling some of his cars to pay for it. Fans also started to wonder if the show was real. Tell me about this one. That's the car my wife drives. That's completely crazy. What year? 1970 all over again. 70, Carnet, convertible, and crazy about plums. 440 with automatic. That's lovely. In 2016, a paper that got out showed that many unplanned events, like finding a car, were planned ahead of time. Fans felt lied to, and in just 1 month, their online activity dropped by 32%. In 2018, things got worse. Who used to be on the show and said that 70% of the drama, including how clients reacted, was fake. In 2019, a video went viral showing a crew member putting a for sale sign on a car right before Danny found it. This made the makers admit that some parts of the show were fake. In 2020, a former client shared audio recordings of staff telling him how to act disappointed during a car reveal. This made the backlash worse. Because of these problems, the History Channel even thought about ending the show. Instead, they chose to make the rules stricter, saying that at least 60% of the information had to be real. Making Danny do a lot of things for the show hurt his marriage to Koker. There were rumors of trouble between the couple in 2017 after they were seen fighting outside of a restaurant. Kory told him in 2019 that they hadn't been on holiday together in 3 years and that she felt like a TV widow. By 2020, their marriage was over, and Kory filed for divorce, saying that they could no longer be together. Danny's friendship with Kevin Mack, his business partner, also got worse. Kevin said that Danny had become so alone and focused on the show that they didn't talk much outside of work. Danny was even stressed out on set. People on the crew noticed that he was getting irritable, and after an angry phone call with Kory, he refused to leave his caravan one day. There was a change, though. Danny and Kory got back together on Christmas Day, 2020, after a deep talk in which he promised to put their relationship first. In early 2021, they said they were going to stop running their rock bar, Kounts Vamped, so they could get married. It was Danny's choice to cut the number of shows for Counting Cars from 26 to 16 per season. Some fans were upset about the choice, but Danny was able to focus on his health and personal life. Fans of Counting Cars were shocked on December 14th, 2021. After 10 seasons, the History Channel quietly said the show was over. They already showed the last episode, Mustang Madness, without telling anyone that it was the last one. A lot of people watched the show and liked it, so they weren't sure what was going on. Another difference was that the 10th season had only 12 episodes instead of the normal 26 to 30 episodes. No one thought that this shorter season would be the last one. It was also an odd time. After the pandemic, the auto business was getting better. In 2021, sales of cars went up by 3%. When the market was getting better, it didn't make sense to cancel a car show. People have grown to love Counting Cars over the years. It began in August 2012 and had 153 shows that showed amazing custom builds and restorations of cars. Fans loved the tight deadlines and tasks. For example, Danny and his team had only 72 hours to fix up a 1969 Camaro. The show was fun to watch because they were able to pull it off, but many stories were left unfinished when the show stopped. In the 8th season, Danny bought a 1956 Chevy Bel Air and said he would make it great. Fans never saw what happened in the end. This made the quick cancellation feel even worse because it left something out. It was strange that Danny the Count Koker didn't say anything after the show was over. He loved chatting with his friends on Facebook and Twitter. He didn't say anything for 47 days after December 14th. His last tweet, which came the day before the finale, said, "Watch Counting Cars tomorrow night for a brand new episode. Don't miss this chance." He didn't know that this was the last show. Danny even skipped the Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale sale, which he had been going to every year for 8 years. Fans began to worry. It was harder to understand because the shop keeps track of taxes. On January 5th, 2022, They took down everything on their website that talked about counting cars. They didn't say why. Fans came in droves to ask questions. Some people thought Danny couldn't talk about the cancellation because he was bound by a deal. Some people thought he might be working on a new show. One crazy rumor even said he had closed the shop and moved to the country. At the same time, show memorabilia became very famous. Dan's jacket from season 3 sold on eBay for $7,500, which is a lot more than it was worth. Danny finally spoke up on January 30th, 2022. He put a picture of himself on Instagram with a 1957 Chevy Bel Air that was only partly fixed up. It said in the caption, "The road ahead may be rough, but the journey never ends." Friends, stay tuned. Fans were hopeful that he wasn't done yet because this post didn't say much. Even though the show was over, Kounts traditions lived on. Danny and his team worked on their skills when there were no cameras around. They worked on tougher projects with more parts. As an example, they finished restoring a 1967 Chevy Camaro in March 2023. It took more than 2,500 hours of work. When time was tight for the show, that kind of work couldn't be done. Danny also began repairing rare cars in November 2023. One of these was a 1954 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Goldwing. It will take 18 months and cost $1.5 million to finish. New technology was also used in the shop. They spent $250,000 on a 3D printer in July 2024. This helped them make one-of-a-kind car parts that were hard to find. Business got even better after they stopped being on TV. More people came to Kounts Kustoms, and the team wasn't as stressed because they weren't recording. Danny started to work with exclusive high-class famous clients as well. He made a unique 1969 Mustang for star Chris Hemsworth in April 2024. The paint job was based on Thor, and the inside was made of eucalyptus wood, which gave it a unique look. For another job, they fixed up a Bugatti-type 57 SC Atlantic worth $30 million for a collector. They began making bikes for famous people like the Prince of Monaco, who wanted a special bike with diamonds and gold on it. Dan and Snoop Dogg worked together in August 2024 to make a line of handmade lowriders. It made a lot of money because all 10 cars were sold in 48 hours. That year, 2024, was the shop's best yet. They made $45 million, which was twice as much as they made the last year of the show. Dan showed he didn't need the cameras to stay on top, even when he wasn't counting cars. During 2018, he told everyone he had a heart issue. People were shocked because he always looked so lively on TV. His health was really bad because of all the stress from running his specialty car shop and doing a TV show. He gained weight and had other health problems, but Koker chose to make a change. He tried to lose weight and lost more than 50 pounds. He started to eat better and work out more often. These changes helped him in more ways than one. They also made him feel better in his mind. His fans are motivated by what he has said about how important it is to take care of yourself. He looks healthier and happier now, which shows that it's never too late to make things better, even when things look bad. In 2017, Koker had a hard time with addiction before this. He got in trouble with the law, and his fans were shocked when they learned he was going to jail for 30 days. The case involved illegal drugs and a person who used to work at Kounts Kustoms. Koker didn't try to hide his problems. Instead, he accepted they were there and made the choice to change his life. He worked on staying clean and asked his family for help, with friends and coworkers. Koker also started talking about his problems, which helped people who were going through the same things relate to him better. People around him started to trust him again over time, and he became a source of hope for others. He now sends messages of hope to people, telling them that they can get better if they stay focused and get help. He worked hard and didn't give up, which shows that you can rebuild your life after bad things happen. In 2024, Koker made a big news that caught everyone by surprise. He said he was going to not count cars for a year so he could focus on his band, Kounts 77. This choice was made after a huge show in Colorado at Red Rocks Amphitheater. A show with 9,000 people saw the band play for almost 4 hours. A lot of people loved it, especially since rock stars Alice Cooper and Sammy Hagar joined them on stage. After that, Koker and the band revealed the Grease and Gears Global Takeover, a huge world tour. It began with a show for 50,000 people in Tokyo, Japan, on April 1st, 2024. You could even hear a full symphony group in some songs, giving their rock sound something extra. There was also a car lift that brought on stage different classic cars during each song, which was really cool. The tour was more than just music, though. Koker told everyone that half of the money made would be given to a new charity. This organization would help keep old American muscle cars alive and teach young people how to fix them up. This plan was a hit. It even led Koker to work with Elon Musk on making fuel for old cars that doesn't harm the environment. It was a huge hit. The show made more than $100 million in just 1 month. Koker's love for music and cars came together in an amazing way that showed everyone that hard work and desire can lead to amazing results, even when things are hard.